The holographic projection materialized in Times Square, stretching across skyscrapers as identical images appeared simultaneously in every major city across Earth. The being that appeared seemed to be made of living mercury, its form constantly shifting yet maintaining a vaguely humanoid shape. The sight brought the bustling streets to a complete standstill. People of Earth, the figure's voice resonated in every human language simultaneously. I am Arbiter Vex of the Meridian Collective. Your world has been chosen for integration into our empire. In the depths of the Pentagon's sub-basement level 12, General Sarah Chen watched the broadcast with steady eyes, her fingers drumming a precise rhythm on her quantum steel desk. The room around her, known only to a select few as the Vigilance Chamber, hummed with energy as hundreds of holographic displays monitored the alien vessels now visible in high orbit. Right on schedule, she murmured, checking the time. 30 years of waiting, and the Meridian Collective had arrived exactly when their deep space monitoring systems had predicted. The Mercury-like being continued its speech, unaware that its every word confirmed decades of intelligence gathering. As is customary, we require an integration fee. Your world will provide 40% of its resources and workforce to demonstrate its commitment to joining our civilization. You have 72 hours to begin the transfer process. In the UN Emergency Session Chamber, Ambassador Marcus Wong stood at the podium, maintaining an expertly crafted expression of shock and concern. Behind that mask, his mind raced through the final phases of Operation Silent Shield, a plan 3 decades in the making. Arbiter Vex, he spoke, his voice carrying the perfect tremor of a leader facing an overwhelming force. Surely such a demand requires time for consideration. The logistics alone. Time is a luxury you have not earned, the Arbiter cut him off. Your species is young, barely able to reach your own moon. The Collective's patience extends only so far. 72 hours, Ambassador. After that, we will simply take what we require. The transmission ended abruptly, leaving Times Square in eerie silence. Similar scenes played out across the globe as humanity appeared to grapple with an impossible choice. Deep beneath the Antarctic ice, in a facility that didn't exist on any map, Fleet Admiral Jessica Torres watched the final preparations of humanity's real space fleet. The massive hangar stretched for kilometers, housing ships that would make the Collective's vessels look like ancient sailing boats. Status report, she commanded, her voice carrying across the command center. All ships report ready. Admiral, her XO responded. Quantum drives are primed, dimensional shields are at full capacity, and the AI networks are synchronized. The civilian facade is holding. The Collective scans are only detecting our decoy satellites and early-stage rocket technology. Torres allowed herself a small smile. For 30 years, humanity had maintained the illusion of being a developing civilization, carefully crafting every public space launch to appear primitive, while their real advancement remained hidden in underground facilities across the globe. The Collective's ships in orbit were impressive by the standards they expected Earth to have. Massive vessels bristling with weapon systems, meant to intimidate a pre-spacefaring civilization. But their scanning technology, advanced as it seemed, couldn't penetrate the quantum camouflage fields protecting Earth's true military installations. In the Vigilance Chamber, General Chen opened a secure channel to all command centers. Initialize Phase 1 of Silent Shield. Maintain the facade for another 48 hours. Let them think they're watching a primitive species scramble in panic. Across the globe, a carefully choreographed dance began. Governments issued panicked statements. Stock markets plunged in artificial chaos. Protests erupted in major cities, all staffed by military personnel playing their roles perfectly. And deep underground, in bunkers and hidden bases, humanity's real power waited. Ships equipped with technology that would shock the Collective. Weapons developed through decades of reverse engineering glimpses of alien tech. AI systems that made the Collective's computers look like pocket calculators. The Arbiter's ship hung in orbit, its crew watching Earth's apparent chaos with satisfaction. They had seen this reaction countless times from countless worlds. Soon, this primitive species would submit, joining the ranks of the collective's servant races. They never noticed the quantum ripples in space as Earth's true fleet took up attack positions, hidden behind veils of dimensional energy. They didn't detect the advanced AI systems infiltrating their networks. They remained completely unaware that humanity had spent 30 years preparing for this exact moment. In 72 hours, the galaxy would learn a valuable lesson about underestimating Earth, and humanity's response would be far more than the simple refusal the collective expected. The Meridian Collective's massive ships cast long shadows across Earth's orbital space stations. From their command bridges, the collective's officers watched with amusement as primitive human satellites awkwardly adjusted their orbits to avoid collisions. None of them noticed that each clumsy movement was precisely calculated to maintain an elaborate deception. In her command center beneath Mount Everest, Admiral Maya Patil monitored the real-time quantum feeds from Earth's hidden defense grid. Holographic displays showed the true extent of humanity's space presence. Thousands of advanced vessels lying dormant in dimensional pocket spaces, invisible to conventional scanners. Status of Operation Mockingbird. She asked her second-in-command, Colonel David Chen. The decoy satellites are performing perfectly, Chen replied, gesturing to a detailed hologram. Every wobble and course correction reinforces their impression of our technological limitations. Meanwhile, our quantum arrays have mapped every weakness in their fleet's defensive systems. Patil nodded, studying the data streams flowing across her neural interface. The collected ships were impressive, certainly, to a civilization they believed had barely achieved spaceflight. But compared to Earth's hidden fleet, they were relics of a bygone era. In the depths of the Mariana Trench, Director Elena Rodriguez supervised the final activation of the Hydra network, humanity's true artificial intelligence grid. Unlike the primitive computer systems they showed the world, Hydra was a quantum consciousness that spanned the globe through dimensional substrates. Hydra, she addressed the AI, analysis of collective communications. The AI's response materialized directly in her mind through her neural implant. Their encryption is consistent with our 30-year-old intercepts. No significant advancements. I can bypass their security protocols without detection. Their AI systems are rudimentary by our standards. Across Earth's hidden facilities, preparations continued. In underground hangars, pilots ran final checks on aerospace fighters that could outmaneuver anything in the collective's fleet. Engineers monitored quantum forge complexes that had been manufacturing advanced weapons and defense systems for decades. Scientists fine-tuned dimensional shields that would render Earth's cities completely impervious to orbital bombardment. The public face of humanity continued its carefully orchestrated panic. News networks broadcasted emergency sessions of governments arguing over the collective's demands. Social media buzzed with apparently genuine fear and confusion. Military units made a show of mobilizing outdated aircraft and ground forces. In orbit, Commander Sarah Lai sat in her cloaked command ship, watching the collective's fleet through sensors that could read the quantum state of individual atoms at a distance of several light years. Her vessel, like all of Earth's true warships, was a marvel of engineering that had been refined through decades of secret development. They're positioning themselves exactly as the simulations predicted, her tactical officer reported. Their fleet doctrine hasn't changed in centuries. They have no idea they're following a script we wrote 30 years ago. Lai allowed herself a small smile. Maintain observation protocols. Let them think their intimidation tactics are working. In Washington, D.C., Ambassador Wang attended another emergency session of the UN Security Council. The meeting was being broadcast globally, and more importantly, monitored by the collected ships in orbit. Every argument, every show of fear or defiance, was choreographed to reinforce their assumptions about Earth's political disunity. Deep beneath the Antarctic ice, General Chen reviewed the final phase of Silent Shield with her command staff. Holographic displays showed the positions of Earth's hidden fleet, the status of their quantum weapon systems, and the continuous analysis of the collective's vulnerabilities. "The moment we reveal ourselves," her strategic AI advised, "we'll have approximately 2.3 seconds before they realize their mistake. In that time, we can disable 94% of their fleet's primary systems." Chen studied the projections. 30 years of preparation had led to this moment. The collective had arrived exactly as predicted, made their demands exactly as expected, and positioned their forces exactly where Earth's strategic models had anticipated. They thought they were following a script they had used on countless other worlds. They didn't realize they were following humanity's script instead. In orbit, Arbiter Vex observed Earth's apparent chaos with satisfaction. The humans were reacting just as every other pre-spacefaring race had, with fear, confusion, and the beginning stages of acceptance. Soon they would submit, accepting their place in the collective's hierarchy. The Arbiter never noticed the quantum fluctuations that indicated Earth's cloaked warships taking up attack positions, never detected the advanced AI systems that had already compromised their fleet's computer networks, never suspected that the primitive species they had come to subjugate had spent 3 decades preparing for this exact confrontation. In 48 hours, humanity would reveal its true face to the galaxy, and the Meridian Collective would learn that appearances could be deceiving indeed. 24 hours remained until the collective's deadline. In the skies above Earth, civilian aircraft made a show of being redirected around the alien vessels, their flight paths deliberately inefficient. A carefully crafted display of primitive air traffic control struggling to adapt to the presence of advanced spacecraft. Deep within the Quantum Command Center beneath the Sahara Desert, Director Kai Zhang watched the final pieces of humanity's response fall into place. The vast chamber hummed with energy as quantum computers processed data streams from thousands of hidden sensors across the solar system. "Show me the collective's current tactical analysis," he commanded. The air before him filled with intricate holographic displays, showing how the alien fleet interpreted Earth's defenses, or rather, the carefully constructed illusion of defenses they were meant to see. "They're completely convinced, sir," his tactical officer reported. "Their scans show exactly what we want them to see: outdated missile silos, primitive radar systems, and a handful of nuclear weapons that wouldn't scratch their shields." Zhang nodded, suppressing a smile. The real story was very different. Earth's true defensive grid was a masterpiece of misdirection. Every primitive installation visible to the collective scans was actually a sophisticated quantum displacement node, capable of channeling enough energy to vaporize a small moon. In orbit, disguised as debris from old satellites, Commander Yuki Tanaka's stealth flotilla maintained their position. Her ships, products of 3 decades of secret development, were technological marvels that made the collective's vessels look like stone tools in comparison. "Status of the Phantom Network," she asked her AI interface. "All systems nominal, Commander," the AI responded directly into her neural implant. "The quantum camouflage is holding. The collective's sensors still register us as space junk. Their crews are actually complaining about how messy Earth's orbit is." Throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden strength continued its silent deployment. Quantum-cloaked vessels took up strategic positions around every collective ship. Dimensional technology, far beyond anything the aliens believed possible, allowed Earth's forces to operate literally between the moments of conventional time. Ambassador Wang stood before the UN General Assembly, maintaining humanity's carefully crafted facade. "We must consider the collective's demands carefully," he announced, his words broadcast across Earth and monitored by the alien fleet. "The loss of 40% of our resources would be catastrophic, but can we afford to resist?" The debate that followed was a masterpiece of political theater. Every argument, every impassioned speech, every show of division was calculated to reinforce the collective's belief in Earth's primitive nature. They watched humans apparently struggling with a choice that wasn't really a choice at all. In her command center beneath the Pacific Ocean, Admiral Patel reviewed the final simulations with her staff. The holographic displays showed every possible variation of the coming confrontation, each scenario refined by decades of preparation. The collective's tactical doctrine is based on overwhelming primitive species through sheer technological superiority, her strategic AI explained. They have no protocols for facing an enemy that surpasses their own capabilities. Their response times will be drastically impaired by sheer disbelief. On the surface, Earth's population continued their daily lives, most unaware that their world stood on the brink of revealing its true face to the galaxy. The few who knew the truth, military personnel, key civilian leaders, and their families, played their parts perfectly, maintaining the illusion of a primitive species facing an impossible choice. Arbiter Vex observed Earth's apparent turmoil from the command deck of his flagship. The humans were behaving exactly as expected, their leaders bickering, their population afraid, their primitive military forces making futile preparations for a fight they couldn't possibly win. Such a typical response, he commented to his command staff. They'll submit, just as all the others did. Their resources will strengthen the collective, and in a few centuries, they might earn the right to be more than simple laborers. None of them noticed the quantum fluctuations that indicated Earth's true fleet moving into attack positions. None of their sensors detected the advanced AI systems that had already compromised their command and control networks. None of their tactical analysts recognized that every human action and reaction had been precisely calculated to lead to this moment. In the Quantum Command Center, Director Zhang opened a secure channel to all of Earth's hidden installations. Initialize final countdown, he ordered. Maintain deception protocols for 12 more hours. Then we show the collective exactly what humanity is capable of. Across the solar system, humanity's real power stirred to life. Ships that could traverse dimensions prepared to reveal themselves. Weapons that could reshape reality stood ready. AI systems that could think circles around the collective's computers completed their infiltration of the alien fleet's networks. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity had spent 30 years crafting the greatest deception in known space, and the Meridian Collective was about to discover just how badly they had underestimated Earth. The final hour before the collective's deadline cast long shadows across Earth's cities. In orbit, the alien fleet maintained their intimidating formation, weapons primed and ready to enforce their demands. They watched the apparent panic below with the satisfied patience of predators certain of their prey. In the quantum-shielded war room beneath Mount Fuji, General Sarah Chen initiated the final phase of Operation Silent Shield. All commands, execute Protocol Omega. Authorization. Humanity stands. Across the solar system, the greatest revelation in galactic history began. It started subtly. On the collected ships, crew members noticed their advanced systems experiencing minor glitches. Navigation data flickered. Sensor readings showed impossible momentary anomalies. Communication channels carried whispers of static that shouldn't exist. Arbiter Vex stood on his command deck, watching the final minutes tick away. Prepare to commence resource acquisition protocols, he ordered. These humans will learn their place in the greater galaxy. Sir, his sensor officer called out, voice uncertain. I'm detecting some strange readings from Earth's orbit. They're primitive satellites making more clumsy adjustments, no doubt. Vex dismissed. No, sir. The readings, they're gone, along with all the satellites and the space debris. Everything. In that moment, Earth's orbital space transformed. The cluttered mess of primitive satellites and debris simply vanished, revealed as the sophisticated holographic camouflage it had always been. In its place, the collective fleet found themselves surrounded by warships that seemed to materialize from between the moments of time itself. Commander Tanaka's voice echoed through every communication system on every collective vessel simultaneously. Attention Meridian Collective Forces. You are now surrounded by the United Earth Defense Fleet. Your weapon systems have been compromised. Your engines are under our control. Your choice to surrender is entirely ceremonial, but we're giving it to you anyway. Vex stared in shock at the tactical displays. The ships surrounding his fleet were unlike anything he had ever seen. Their design spoke of technologies that shouldn't exist, power readings that defied conventional physics. "Impossible," he whispered. "You're a primitive species. We watched your development. Your most advanced vessels are simple chemical rockets. You watched exactly what we wanted you to watch." Ambassador Wang's voice joined the transmission. "For 30 years, we monitored your observations of Earth. Every satellite launch, every space station construction, every public display of our technology was carefully crafted to maintain your assumptions. Across Earth, the facade of primitive technology fell away. Hidden installations emerged from dimensional shields. Cities revealed defense systems that made the collective's weapons look like children's toys. The planet's surface seemed to shimmer as quantum displacement fields deactivated, showing the true face of human civilization." In lunar orbit, Admiral Patel watched the collective's confusion with grim satisfaction. Status of their fleet. "Their weapons are completely offline," her tactical officer reported. "Our AI systems have total control of their networks. They're trying to activate their emergency protocols, but those systems were compromised weeks ago." The collective's mighty fleet hung powerless in space, surrounded by vessels that represented the true pinnacle of human achievement. Ships equipped with dimensional drives that could cross galaxies in moments. Weapons that could manipulate the fundamental forces of reality. Defense systems that operated on principles the collective had never imagined. "You still don't understand, do you?" General Chen's voice carried across all channels. "We detected your first probe 3 decades ago. We knew you were watching. We knew you would come. Everything since then, every technological advancement we showed, every conflict we displayed, every sign of division and weakness was part of our preparation for this moment." On screens across the collective fleet, data began to flow. Evidence of human achievements they had never detected. Footage of the real ships and weapons Earth had developed in secret. Proof that humanity had not only matched collective technology, but had far surpassed it. "Your entire society is built on the subjugation of species you deem primitive," Ambassador Wang continued. "You never considered that one of those species might recognize the threat you posed and prepare accordingly. You never imagined that your own arrogance could be used against you." Arbiter Vex watched his mighty fleet floating helpless in space, surrounded by technology that shouldn't exist, facing a species that had utterly outmaneuvered his civilization. "The terms of our response are simple," Admiral Patel announced. "The Meridian Collective will withdraw from Earth space immediately. You will acknowledge Earth's sovereignty and our right to independent development. And you will never again attempt to subjugate a developing civilization." The message was clear. Humanity had not only refused the collective's demands, they had shattered the very foundation of the collective's power. In a single hour, the galaxy's balance of power had shifted irreversibly, and it had all gone exactly according to humanity's plan. The galactic news networks couldn't transmit the story fast enough. Across thousands of worlds, beings of all species watched in astonishment as footage spread of the mighty Meridian collective fleet surrounded and neutralized by previously unknown human technology. The species that had been dismissed as primitive had revealed itself as one of the most advanced civilizations in known space. In the grand chamber of the Galactic Council, representatives from hundreds of worlds gathered for an emergency session. The collective's delegation sat in uncharacteristic silence, their once proud demeanor replaced by shocked humility. At the center of the chamber stood Ambassador Wang, now representing Earth as an acknowledged galactic power. For centuries, he addressed the assembly. The Meridian Collective built their empire through the systematic exploitation of developing civilizations. They assumed that technological advancement followed a predictable pattern, that any species they found would be defenseless against their demands. The chamber's holographic displays showed images of Earth's true technological achievements: quantum ships that could traverse dimensions, AI systems that operated on levels most species had only theorized about, defense systems that rewrote the laws of physics themselves. Humanity chose a different path. Wong continued. When we detected the collective's first probe, we understood the threat they represented. But rather than confronting them immediately, we crafted a strategy that would address not just our own security, but the future of all developing civilizations. In Earth orbit, Admiral Patel supervised the withdrawal of the collective's fleet. Their once mighty vessels now seemed antiquated compared to the revealed power of Earth's true forces. As each ship departed, quantum sensors confirmed they carried an important cargo, data packages that would be impossible to suppress, showing the galaxy exactly how humanity had outmaneuvered the collective. The age of predator civilizations ends today, General Chen announced from the United Earth Defense Command. We are establishing the Sovereign Development Accord, a guarantee that every sentient species has the right to develop without coercion or exploitation. The implications rippled across the galaxy. Dozens of subjugated worlds began questioning their agreements with the collective. Other powerful civilizations that had followed the collective's example found themselves facing unprecedented scrutiny. In her quantum-shielded office beneath the Pacific, Director Rodriguez reviewed reports from Earth's now-revealed observation posts throughout the galaxy. The power balance is shifting exactly as we predicted, she noted to her AI interface. The collective's client states are already reaching out for protection under the Accord. The revelation of Earth's true capabilities had shattered more than just the collective's military dominance. It had broken the assumption that technological advancement followed a fixed path, that younger civilizations were inevitably vulnerable to their more established neighbors. Ambassador Wong stood before the Galactic Council again, this time presenting the full terms of the Sovereign Development Accord. Earth will serve as guarantor of this agreement, he declared. Any civilization that attempts to exploit or subjugate a developing species will face the same response the collective received. The message was clear. Humanity's long deception had not simply been about protecting Earth. It had been about fundamentally changing how advanced civilizations interacted with developing ones. In the decades that followed, the galaxy transformed. The collective's empire fractured as its subject worlds claimed their independence under Earth's protection. New alliances formed based on mutual respect rather than intimidation. Young civilizations developed without fear of exploitation, knowing that humanity's quantum ships and dimensional weapons stood ready to defend their sovereignty. Earth itself emerged as a different kind of galactic power. Having proven they could have conquered their neighbors, humans instead chose to become guardians of civilization's natural development. Their technology, developed in secret for so long, now served to ensure peace rather than enforce dominance. The species that had pretended to be primitive had become the architect of a new galactic order. And in the end, humanity's greatest weapon had not been their quantum ships or dimensional drives. It had been their patience, their foresight, and their determination to create a better future for all sentient beings. In the restored UN chamber in New York, now featuring technologies no longer hidden, Ambassador Wong addressed humanity itself. For 30 years, we carried the burden of secrecy, preparing for a moment we could not discuss. Today, we can finally stand in our true light. Not as conquerors, not as victims, but as guardians of a principle we hold dear, that every civilization deserves the chance to reach its full potential, free from the shadow of exploitation. The age of predator civilizations had ended. The age of protected development had begun. And humanity, the species that had fooled the galaxy, would ensure it remained that way.